there was no other outcome other than
A
we
baby.
will have a baby.
Yeah.
That will happen. We will have a baby. That's why I do the shots. That's why I take the pills. That's why I go to all the doctor's appointments. That is why I now know, you know, all of the
Mhm.
nurses by first name and like all of that. And that didn't happen. And there's not a lot of people who talk about that. And so I'm at the end of that part of it. And I can say with all sincerity that me sitting here 6 years later is happier than I was 6 years ago.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Phoenix Perspective Podcast. I am your host, Kori Rae, and I'm excited to bring you one of my very dear oldest friends that I have had for such a long time. Her name is Lindsey Hastings, and I love this woman just more than anything I could say. I love this woman so much. She is a radiant light in the world. One would say that maybe she's like an everyday person, she works a corporate job and she's married, she lives in Midwest, Indiana, but she's so much more than that. Lindsey shares about her fertility journey and its all its challenges and the unexpected result or conclusion to her fertility journey and the impact that that's made on her self-trust and how reclaiming her joy throughout her life journey has really defined her life and brought her to a place of peace and vibrancy. If you are someone who has struggled with fertility or has really gone through a journey that turned out unexpectedly, then you're really going to love this conversation with Lindsey. There's a lot of laughs. We talk about we talk about dancing and our big boobies and oh, it's just a great time. So we talk about um our our journeys of personal growth and connection and really creating purpose and service in the world from a place of joy and from a place of and from our hearts. And so this is truly a kind of a friendship conversation. It's almost like you're a fly on the wall during our catch up talk. And I hope that you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. So go ahead and cuddle in. Let's sit and chit chat for another hour as we talk to Lindsey Hastings. Welcome to the Phoenix Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Kori Rae Kovacs, a registered nurse and reflector in human design on a soul mission to help women like you rise from life's ashes with abundant energy, purpose, and joy. Each week, we'll meet at the intersection of science, soul, and storytelling as we create a bridge between holistic women's health, the sacred feminine, and cyclical wisdom. You'll get tools and insights from experts and guests helping you to thrive in every area of your life. So, go ahead and pull up a chair, grab your favorite crystal or cup of tea, and let's rise like phoenixes together. Hello, beautiful Lindsey. I'm so happy you're here
Hello.
on my podcast. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
It's so exciting. I'm so proud of you. Like, this is awesome.
Oh,
This is just
thank
awesome.
you. Yes, for the listeners who are just joining us, Lindsey and I go way back. Like, I actually think you were the first friend I made when I came to Noblesville. Like, I remember sitting in computer class and we started talking in 7th grade. And I think you were literally like the first person I talked to.
I find that actually as a beautiful honor because I have a lot of people who say, like, you're the first person who was part of this chapter. And, like, one of my best friends who I met at corporate life, she was literally someone pointed to me and said, you should go talk to her. She knows everyone. And, like, 3 weeks later, she was at my wedding reception, and we've been best friends ever since. And
I
I
love
just,
that.
Yeah.
I love it.
I tried to be open with everyone. So even little 7th grade Lindsey was like, she's one of my people.
Yes, it really was, and I love that so much because, that was the first time I'd been in public school. I was homeschooled the whole rest of the time. I knew nobody, and there you were, you're like, "Hi, come sit next to me, be my friend." I think, our lives, obviously, since we've gone older and adults have
Mhm.
paralleled, but they've kinda touched and gone, and I've always, we've been stay connected and stuff, so it was really, really nice, and so it's an honor to have you on the show, Lindsay. I'm excited. I would love to know, where are you at in your cycle right now?
Day 3.
Day 3.
And day 3. And my husband barely made it the week leading up to it. I swear to God, the older I get, the more I'm like, yep, yep, I definitely get like the phases and everything. And
Mhm.
also part of my spiritual journey has really been part of like tracking cycles and the moon and really getting into my heritage with different things and understanding it. So last week I was like, look, I'm just, you'll live. Like,
Yes. Yes,
I was
you'll
like,
live.
"You will live. I
You will
promise you
live.
will live, babe, but just
Oh
right
my gosh.
now, it's
I
gonna be
felt that
touch
way
and go."
too. I mean, I'm on day 1, so I'm only a couple of days behind you, but I literally felt like I thought I was gonna start a little bit earlier. My cycles have been kinda changing a little bit. They've been going from, like, 32 days to 31 days, and then I had a 25-day and a 27 so things got a little crazy,
Mhm.
so I wasn't sure if it was gonna come earlier, but I was feeling that angst, and thankfully, Dan was out in the truck this week, so he didn't have to he
We
didn't
both
have to
work
do
from home, Kori. We both work from home in the same industry, like corporate life, and I'm just like, "What do you mean that was like?" I
Mhm.
he's a trooper. He's a
Yes.
trooper.
My gosh, our men are troopers. I love that. It really does say something for a man when they can love us and hold us through all of the versions of us as we go
Mhm.
through the month or even the seasons that we go through in our life. I mean, we're not exactly spring chickens anymore, and
Right.
perimenopause is knocking on the door.
It's
Um,
she's here. Like, I've got the itchy ear thing.
really.
I've got yeah, like every symptom. I went to my doctor for just
Mm,
med check and blood work, and she was just asking me like different things, and she's like, "So you know?" And I was like, I've seen the
yeah.
TikToks. I'm
I've
aware
se-
where
right. I've watched the reels.
I've
Uh-huh.
seen it. Yeah, but we're
Yep.
here.
We are. I mean, I've really been noticing in the last 6 months, it's been the waking up in the middle of the night
Mhm.
and having a hard time going back to sleep or throwing off the blankets because I'm freaking 50 million degrees, and then I get
Mhm.
freezing again. And then, I noticed that the little bit changes in my cycle, the breast tenderness is like, I never had that except for when I was pregnant, was the only time. And so that was new. So there's like these little things that are coming up that are showing. And I'm like, "Okay, well, this is where we're at. We're in the season." All of all of us that graduated in 2003, well, we're probably all right there.
I'm guessing a lot of our classmates and stuff are like, "So it wasn't allergies." No, girl. Your ears your ears itching may not be allergies. It may be, but it
It
may
might
not
not
be.
be. We are, yeah. So any of our Noblesville classmates of 2003 who are listening right now, sister, we're here. We have arrived to the perimenopause years. But that's what's so great about having
Mhm.
conversations like this, right? And talking about our cycles, talking about our spiritual journeys, talking about our health journeys is because we're all kind of going through it together, and even though our lives have taken different paths, there is still a common thread that comes through this, and the more that we talk about these things, the more that we don't feel alone.
And it isn't taboo. I've never understood that at all. I'm like, it's the the female body is quite literally a glorious thing, and it offers and does a lot. And you and I have talked about my relationship with my body has changed so much over the years. And I have a niece who is only 4, and she is copy paste. She is me. She just happens to have my sister's red hair. Like, literally, copy paste. She's built like me. She mouth like me, everything. But she was born with a condition called bladder exstrophy. And so the lower abdomen didn't really form. She's had to have a lot of surgery. She has a scar and things like that. And I talk to her all the time about how beautiful and powerful she is. And she doesn't have a belly button, but she has what you can see where it would be. And
Mhm.
so we're always like, "You have the cutest belly button." And she'll go, "I know. It's so cute. It's different than
My
yours,
gosh.
but it's so cute." And I'm like, "It is, and I love it, but that's what else are we?" And she'll say, "I'm strong and I'm powerful." And I'm like, "Yes." And I want her to just always have that playing in her mind because she started off with her body being not what was expected.
Yeah.
And already having all these things like she may not be able to do this, she won't, being told she won't. And she and her spirit were like, "How about you guys sit back and we're going to show you what we can do."
Mhm.
So she's my little inspo and everything. And so I keep
Well,
that in
this
mind too.
what's so beautiful is that you and I, and so many of us, I feel like in our generation, have walked through these paths of healing where we went through really, really hard times with our fertility, with our health, with the
Hmm.
way that we view our bodies. And it was almost like we chose to pick up those mantles of things that we believed about ourselves, our limitations that we believed about ourselves. We decided to heal those things before the next generation came. And so now we are instilling in them these young girls, right? Like my daughter, Asen, she's 11 now. And she is, it's this,
11.
I know, right?
Wait a minute. I'm sorry, audience. Just a moment. Lindsay has to recover from shock. I feel like I was just like, "Oh, look at the little Bulf," when we ran into each other in downtown Noblesville and had ice cream or something randomly one day. And like, you had
Huh?
just had her. And I'm like, 11? All
Yeah,
right.
no,
And
continue. Yeah, no, she's 11 going on 17. I mean, we're definitely there. And she's about kind of on this cusp of that portal of coming into her, puberty and having menarche and things like that. But she already has such a strong sense of her body and her self-expression. It's like there's no fear there. There's no shame. Like she's not standing in the mirror shaming herself, which I remember doing that. I remember doing that. Yeah. Yeah. And how much healing we've kind of taken on and passing on a different spirit to the next generation. And that it almost sister being in this menstrual portal, I don't know if I'm gonna make it through here without crying, but it almost does. It brings emotion to me because if there's anything that we could do to heal this planet, doing just that, changing how we're speaking about our bodies, going through those fires, the phoenix fire of our own stories to pass that on to them is, my gosh, unspeakable. I mean, just unbelievable words. They don't exist for how powerful that is.
absolutely. And I can say as someone who, looking back in prep and thinking about what we may talk about, and I'm all about the universe will let us know where it wants the conversation to go, and it will guide us to where the audience will want to hear or need to hear, rather. But still, I'm also type A eldest daughter. I'm gonna prepare. It
Aren't
is
we
what
all?
it is.
Aren't we both? Right? I did the same thing. I like had dude got
Yeah,
my
like
notes, got my pen, got my. I mean, it's you
yeah, it's
can't
like
take
I'm
the
all about like I'm gonna let the universe guide this, but also I want to be prepared in case the universe needs me prepared. Just
yeah. Let's talk.
one.
Let's talk
Yeah.
about this about being the type A eldest daughter because this I think is a really big part that I have seen that I have had to shed and dismantle this expectations of being perfect, the expectation of me always having everything put together and
Hmm.
knowing the answer and how much that kind of expectation has hurt a kind of self view and affected my body. I mean, I truly do believe that. What has been that kind of dismantling journey for you?
It's still dismantling. There's
Mm,
still a lot of
yeah.
process going on with it. I am the eldest daughter raised by an eldest daughter.
Mm,
And my mom to me was and is growing up, she was perfection. She was my mom, she was strength, she was wisdom, and she is all of those things. And now we also have a relationship where we will look at each other and say woman to woman, not mother to daughter, but woman to woman. Where are you with this? How are you with this? And I think that's a powerful thing to be able to do. And also, like with my sister who's 4 years younger, woman to woman, sister to sister, sometimes those are two separate conversations.
They are.
But being the oldest, I can say that there is this level of expectation that no one ever sat down and said, Lindsey, we expect you to be perfect. We expect you to always have the answer. We expect you to be the first to go through and do these things so you can guide your siblings through it. No one ever sat down and said that. But boy, did my soul feel it and hear it and try to live up to it. And now that I'm 41 and um, you've seen my journey, especially over the last 2.5 years. I've lost 150 pounds, and I said a good portion of that was also all the F's that I
Yep.
lost along the way, and I
Yep.
wish I'd lost them a lot sooner. And part of that is the pressure that I put on myself to be an example for my siblings. They never
Yeah.
asked me to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt like I needed to be the example for them of what this looks like and how it is. And my sister and I were talking about it last night, and she said, you have been in some form of a mom mode since you were 4 years old. And that's when she was born. And she was born, and within a year, my parents were divorced. And I say that because at that age, when we would go with my dad, and I've told this story before, so I'm saying that to my mom and my sister. They're like, "Why is she telling this story?" People have heard it. You're fine. I was 4, and I had to know how to change diapers like properly because my dad wasn't going to do it. And if we were going with him, I had to make sure that he remembered the diaper bag. I had to remember, and that started. And again, no one ever sat me down and said, you need to do this. It's just, that's how it was. And now I will catch myself going, 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 going. And my husband will be like, you're doing too much. And I'm like, I
How
don't
is it
know
going
another mode.
Yeah, like, how is it gonna get done? Because our brains literally tell us that if we don't do it, it won't happen.
Right. And I see my mom going through it too. And my mom is the oldest, uh, and she's taking care of her mom, and she's taking care of my stepdad, and he's my dad. I mean, he's been around for, it's gracious, I don't even know how long they've been married. Let's see, my brother's 34, so they're about 35, 36 years.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, he's older, and she needs to, and I'm seeing that, and there are times where I'm like, Mom, you don't have to do it all. And she'll look at me, and I'm like, oh, I know that look. I know I give that look too. That
Mm.
if I don't do it, who's going to? And I'm like,
Yeah. Mhm.
that's the look I give.
Mhm.
And
How do you
so,
how do you think that that's impacting us as women? Like, how do you think that's impacting our health?
for me, there has been leading up until the past few years, I know that was a big part of the stress. And the stress was just adding on to all of the other things that my body was being put through and I was putting it through. And then when I felt like my body was failing me, and I did, we talk about like in the mirror and stuff. Yes, there was middle school and high school Lindsey that was like, why are your boobs so big? Why? It's probably why we bonded so quickly. We were both
Probably.
these busty seventh grade girls. And probably, I guarantee you and I were the ones who were like, what are these training bras these other girls are talking about? We skipped training bras. We
Skipped
went
them.
straight to the D.
Never even
I
wore a B cup. Like, I went from an
no.
A to a C and then a D 3 weeks later.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I went from nothing to a D cup. And I can still remember when my mom took me bra shopping the first time. She was like, oh, because I was bigger than her. But I digress. My body, so yeah, looking back, I would have those, but I also was going through a lot where we were going through fertility treatments and I had pregnancy losses and I was so mean to my body. I was so mean to her. And I talk about my niece, and now I'm like, if she said a tenth of what I said to my body, if she said a tenth of that to her body, that would devastate me. And so I now very much talk about my body as she has been through a lot. We have been through a lot and we are healing. And that's not just physical, we are healing our relationship. Like we are learning to be one again, and I'm learning to appreciate what she's been through. But I know now that part of my physical stuff was also like I was told I'd always be a good mom because I've always been in mom mode. This is the one thing that like I'm made to do and I can't do it and it won't happen and it doesn't happen but I'm supposed to be the first to get married and the first to have kids and
Mhm.
those, and again, no one ever sat me down.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's funny is now I find myself sitting my niece down and I'm like, you don't need to get married, right?
Yeah.
And she's 4. I'm like, marriage is just like a social construct and you don't really need to get married and you can have the partners you want, and like all this stuff. And she's just like, I just wanted to play doll. Like, and I'm just like having these, like, I'm just like, do you
Mhm.
want 2 moms in the house? Do you want like 2 dads and a mom? Like, what, like, and she's just like, I just have these 2 dolls. La la.
Yeah.
Like, what are
Yeah,
you
we're good.
talking about? And I'm like, okay, I just wanted you to know.
One of the one of the big things that I know that you kinda just touched on right there, and I wanna kind of come back to that, was these expectations that we put on ourselves, especially as being the oldest, right? There was these expectations that we were gonna be married first, have the children first, and I don't think I realized how much that impacted me until I started with my fertility journey and realized I was having trouble getting pregnant on my own, and by the sheer grace of God was able to have ASIN, but there's a reason why I only have one. And that wasn't
Right.
because I didn't want more. It was, and so but the part that I heard where you were saying that is how you view yourself and your body. You're like, I have one job to do. Body, you have one job to do, and that
Uh-huh.
is to make a baby, and you can't even do that. And I remember how much that hurt me, like that thought. And it just kept going. Has that been a struggle for you too?
Yeah. It has been a struggle, and now I change the dialogue. Now I look at it as my body, self, and soul have one job, and that's love. That's it.
Yes.
And when I started to have those conversations with myself and started to really see that that's at the end of the day, that's what it is. And your body is amazing things. It does amazing things. But your body is part of your story.
Yeah.
It's not your story.
Mhm.
And that was also hard. Also, as someone who grew up doing dance and theater and putting myself, looking back, I'm like, and I love to dance. I still love to do all of that. Don't get me wrong. But I'm like, wow, of all the hobbies the short, curvy, big booby gal could have had, I don't know if ballet was the best for her mental health.
Mhm. But we just loved it. We loved it.
We did. We loved it. But looking back, I've shared the story of I had many teachers talk about, like, if we could just get your weight under control. But I will never forget being pulled to the side by a guest teacher who said, your skill set is impeccable. And I said, thank
Mhm.
you. And he said, but don't ever apply to be in any of my programs. And I just looked at him and he was like, those, pointing to my chest. Yeah, those are gross and either tape them down or get out of the class.
And we were
I was
children.
I was 16 years old.
Children!
Like, looking back,
Mm.
I'm like, especially with how vocal I am now, can you imagine if somebody ever said that to my niece? I would be on the news. and proud of it.
Probably. Yeah.
Proud of it, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
I'm like, and of course my mom is like, "I had no idea."
Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah. What what do you say to that? I mean, I had, I have very similar experiences in the dance company that I was in Noblesville. They made me tape myself
mhm,
down for all of the shows, all of the recitals, all of the theater shows. And then I had tried out for the Pom Squad, and they said that basically it was too vulgar. Like, my body was too vulgar. And I was
mhm,
freaking 17 years old, just wanted to freaking do toe touches and have fun. But, it's not like we could ever find a bra that was appropriate, that fit well, that
right.
kept, you know, that kept us contained so we weren't going everywhere.
But then on the flip side, what would
Yeah,
happen, and I know I can because I know our history and things like that, what was the
yeah,
other side of it? We were
yeah,
too sexy for just walking into a room because we had curves, but we were immediately who they wanted to cast to play the bad girl or to
yeah.
play the flirt or things like that, and I'm like,
Mhm. Yeah. I
it's
played
just crazy.
Yeah, I played Gertie in Oklahoma, which, I mean, she was essentially the town whore, like,
Yeah,
and was trying to steal
sexy
away.
can't say no, but
Right? And then I was in I just it's so crazy looking back at that and thinking that these adults thought that that was okay, and that
mhm,
how much that I embodied that. Like, I took those in. I thought, and it continued on when I joined the military. It got even worse there. I mean, literally the first thing that was told to me at boot camp, they said, they looked at my score. They said, I scored a perfect ASVAB, had a 99 on the ASVAB. They're like, you could do freaking whatever job you want. But you know what your problem is? You're fucking lazy. Because they looked at me and I was like within 2 pounds of the weight limit that they had. And
Lord,
so,
those damn weight limit, BMI, and all that
yes.
bullshit, yep,
So it just, that definition of that very vulnerable time for us when we were developing as young women and our bodies felt kind of like, out of control, and we didn't have like, I felt like I wasn't really mad at my body, but everybody kept telling me that my body was wrong, and then I would hear my mom kinda criticize her body, and then, and
mm.
it just, like, all of these things, and then finally, I think I just heard so much of that it came in, and then I believed that. I believed that about myself for such a long time, that my body was wrong, and I think that played a part in the manifestations that came out physically, and especially with my reproductive challenges, my weight challenges, like all of that, because I was carrying all of that criticism inside my body. Whew, wow.
What a bitch.
Yeah. I just I think it is. And also, there's also another part of me though too that feels like I'm grateful for that journey, because how much love I have found through loving my body, through discovering her miracles, through connecting with her, building an actual relationship with her, and how much that's changed me as a person. And it sounds
Mhm.
like, the same thing for you too, that I don't know if I would have gotten so close had I not had such a tumultuous relationship with her growing up.
There's the joke where people would say, "Oh, you're so funny," and people would say, "Thanks, it's the trauma."
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it it is, like, there's a lot of stuff that has gone on but it gives different perspectives, and I also think it's helped me so much in being able to build those connections with people. And as much as I am an introvert, which shocks people a lot, I am rather an
Mhm.
introvert, but
Yeah.
I can and I love to build connections with people, and I think it's because I've been through so many different things, I can pull on that, and I know what that is like. I may not know exactly what that is like. I
Mhm.
did not join the military, I did not go through boot camp, I did not have anyone do that. I did not have that experience, but what I did have was going to a big college campus and the comments and the being called out at the start of an audition for a show and being asked how tall I was, how much I weighed in front of everyone, and then told to leave the theater because no one would be able to pick me up and no one would want to see me on stage. And like, "Oh, okay. I guess I'll go back to my dorm now."
Yeah. Was there a time was there a time that you stopped when you stopped dancing and stopped singing and stopped doing all these things? Was there a time?
Oh,
Tell me
yeah.
about that. How long was it?
Oh, it was oh, it was probably it was in college, um, and it wasn't like a conscious decision. It wasn't like, "I'm going to stop." I
Yeah.
just didn't sign up for any
Yep.
classes.
Yep.
And then I let myself get so busy with, okay, I have class and I have a part-time job and then I have this that I need to do. And then all of that just became what I was focusing on. And then before I knew it, it had been like literally 15 years. And I was like, when was the last time I danced? And I choreographed here and there, but none of it was performing or anything like that. It was as favors to friends.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was one of those things where now that I've started it again, the amount of comments of people saying, "I didn't know you could do that." And I was like, and I have said it was the definition of self for
Mhm.
so long.
Yeah.
But and I've looked at people, I'm like, "What do you mean you didn't know I could dance?" And they're like, "Didn't know you had rhythm, didn't know you could dance, didn't
Yeah.
know you could move like that. Had
Mhm.
no idea." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah."
You know, it's gosh, every single time I hear stuff like this, it's like I feel like my heart is just right here because I'm like, I wanna cry because I went through that too. You know, I stopped dancing when I joined the military because it was frivolous. It had 0 point, right?
Mhm.
I wasn't acting. I didn't have any purpose to it, and I was very indoctrinated that if something didn't have purpose, that it's pointless, and that's what I
Mhm.
learned, and so I stopped not only dancing, but I stopped doing art. I stopped singing. All of the things that defined me and who I felt like truly was my light. Those were things that I loved doing. You know, I had gotten a scholarship to Heron. Like I was going to art school and then, I joined the military and become an intel analyst instead. It was just nutso. But I realized that I had not danced. It was probably about as long, 15 or 20 years. And when I kind of came back on this health journey and started to repair that relationship with my body, that was my motivator. I said, I want to feel up again. Like I wanted to just be able to move my body without hurting. And so that's how I started. I started just moving again. And now it's like that Pink song, like never not gonna dance again. That it's feels like that now. I was like, there's literally not a day that can go by without me doing dance, and I can't even believe so long I didn't do that thing, that I love so much. How's that feel now that dance is back in your life?
It's reclaim joy. That's my
Mhm.
big thing. That's what got me doing a lot of things that I've been doing over the last 6 months to a year is reclaiming that joy, that inner joy. Even if it's not a dance, it is daily. I make myself move my body to celebrate that she can move again. I have a couple of conditions that didn't know I had them growing up, and it made the movement hard. So looking back, my doctor's like, "It's impressive
Mhm.
what you were doing your teen years with this medical condition. Like, it's impressive if you look back." And now it's like, I need to dance, I need to move to celebrate that my body can, and that it's a form of, to me, giving her gratitude for what she has done and celebrating. We've had wins, we've had losses, but hey, we can still move and we can groove. And damn, it helps your mood. It
Yeah,
does. Like, my
it's
gosh,
amazing.
it doesn't save everyone from my attitude, but it does help. It does
Oh,
help.
yes, it does.
But, people are like, "Go for a walk daily." And I'm like, "That's yes, move your body, do that." But for me, it's the hearing the tempo of a song and letting my body respond to it.
Mhm.
To me, there's just this cosmic connection, and it sounds kinda like, "Woo woo," like, all of that, but really, I can't help but feel just lighter and it let something go. And looking at, through the age of times, dance was how people celebrated and how
Mhm.
they told their stories from
Mhm.
generation to generation. So
It was also
it's a
how
big
they
part of it.
mourned. It was
Yeah.
how they mourned. It was how they I mean, they moved anger. I truly believe that dance, like, we've as a society, we've kind of curated dance. Now there's so many different kinds, but
Hmm.
even, any of the arts, so dance, singing, acting, telling stories, which, I mean, that's basically what you're
Yeah.
doing on stage is you're telling stories. We've almost made a society that says you have to be a professional to do those things, or it has to look a very certain way. The bot
To be perfect. It has to
Yes.
be perfect for it to be right and be worth viewing by others.
Exactly. And we've robbed ourselves of something that is, I think, very inherently tied to our spirits, to our life force. And that
Hmm.
is the expression of dance, song, and movement and storytelling. And I think there's a movement going on right now where people are reclaiming that, especially women are reclaiming that joy, like you said,
Hmm.
reclaiming the joy that comes through the ways that we express ourselves, whether it's through singing imperfectly, like singing is just making some noises with or telling stories through, social media, or even just telling stories to your, kid or your niece or whoever,
Hmm.
right? Or just dancing in your kitchen. Like those are the things that make life feel vibrant. And the
Hmm.
more that we lean into those self-expressions and kind of get over this perfectly curated, well, I'm not a professional, I can't sing, or I'm not a professional
Right.
dancer, I can't dance. It's like, well, actually, if you're alive, I believe you can do any of those things in whatever capacity your
Are you
body.
enjoying it?
Yes.
Are
Are
you
you enjoying it?
enjoying it?
Mhm.
Are you enjoying it? Are you feeling recharged from it? Are you feeling like you got whatever your message was to yourself? Were you able to express that? And, if the answer is yes to that, then that's all that matters. That's
Get
it.
on with your bad self.
Exactly. Like, we're here to love our life, to love each other, to love our bodies, and use those things together to
Mhm.
create and show more love.
Are you looking for a space to raise your health and vibration with other Phoenix sisters? Then come join the Vibrant and Aligned Facebook community. Inside this free group, you'll find health tips, resources, and motivation to live a life full of joy, health, and vibrancy. Make sure to check out the show notes for the link to join or search Vibrant and Aligned on Facebook. I can't wait to see you there.
You've been on this path over the last year to reclaim your joy. Do you
Mhm.
feel like it's kind of made you a more kind, compassionate, like, person? A person that I don't know. I mean, I don't wanna say a better person because I think every version of ourselves is worthy of love. But
Mhm.
I always like to think of me stepping into, I call them Christ codes. Like, it's like the codes of what I picture my Yeshua to be, which is kind and compassionate and adventurous and maybe a little goofy and curious and patient. Anyway, like, I find that the more that I lean into my joy and I care for my body and I love on myself, I'm able to step into those spaces. Have you also noticed that, or what have you noticed about that kind of change that's happened over the last year?
For me, it's been more of my kindness and showing grace has been more internalized than before. I have always been the one that's like, I'll straighten the crown. I won't point out that your crown is crooked. I'll straighten it. As cliche as that sounds, it's true.
Mhm, mhm.
And trying to lift other people up and things. And then my best friends and I were talking about it, and they said, what I've noticed in the last year is how you're letting yourself be for everyone. They have always seen that side of me.
Mm,
But now I'm letting, because I always want people to be their authentic selves with me. Always. And people have always said that they have felt that way with me. And we talked about like how I was the first person to meet you when you moved and was going to school with us. I have always believed that you need to have an open heart. Even though there have been many times that my heart has been broken, I have it like in quadrants. And the heart for other people, I've always tried to have open. But letting them in, not so much.
Mm-hmm. Letting
Letting them,
yourself be vulnerable. Yeah, with
letting
them.
myself be vulnerable, letting me be that truest self with someone else, not so much. So really it's not that I am more of those things of like the kind and being generous, but
Mm-hmm.
it's more of because I am more so with myself, I think it shines through even more.
Mm-hmm.
If any of that really makes sense.
Absolutely. Well, because it's a reflection, and what a gift that ends up being shown to other people or given to other people is the gift of our true selves, the gift of our light.
Mhm.
And sometimes when we're in those places where we think that our light is wrong, that our bodies are wrong, right? And because you can't separate those two, right? You can't separate your soul and your body. I mean, they're very, very intrinsically connected here. And so we go through lives thinking that that's not acceptable. So we want to accept everybody else because we have been in spaces where we were not accepted, where we were
Correct.
not seen. And so we have made it our missions to welcome everybody. But yet there was still that block there from being able to accept ourselves. So now you're seeing the more that I accept myself and bring myself and let myself be more vulnerable, how much more love and life I am
Mm.
bringing to others as well because it's from me.
Yeah.
Whew. Wow. What a what an impact that is to other people. Like to allow them to see you. It's almost like when you realize, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much I was keeping people out."
Yes. That's a big one. I didn't realize how I was keeping people out, and it was, in some level, a conscious decision to protect myself,
Yeah.
but also, in a way, protecting them because I was like, "No one wants to be, like, friends with a weird girl. No one wants to be friends with the weird, kind of witchy, out there kinda gal," and,
Mhm.
all of that. In the past few years, and I think part of it is one of your other podcast episodes, you had talked about, I forget the exact term, so forgive me, but, like, this almost like I think you called it like a COVID portal or something, like something happened in
Yeah.
2020, and
Yeah.
it was like some of us, like, went through this
Mhm.
change, right?
Yeah,
And
big
it was
one.
like, did we all go through the same portal? What has happened here? Things are, and for me, it was a lot going on. I mean, when COVID happened, real quick synopsis of where I was in life. I had just gotten married for the second
Uh-huh.
time. I just moved in with my husband to an 850 square foot house, working the same job, only different schedules for the same company, and we all got sent home.
Mhm.
And like I'm in this little bubble. And I was as big of an introvert as I am, I was like, the bubble is too small. Like, what is happening? And then that's also timed up with when we were starting fertility treatments and things like that.
Yeah.
So I was just coming in even more than
Mm.
I had.
Mhm.
Truly, the bubble was getting smaller and smaller, but I was seeing light. And I was just thank thank God, thank the universe that I had enough fight in me to keep my eye on that light and keep going towards it. Because now I feel like now I'm in where I need to be, and now I am shining it for other people so they can see it. And more importantly, they can see it in themselves. I love
Mhm.
when I can help someone find their voice, tell their story, share their story, and do it in a way that is confident
Mhm.
and do it in a way that is truth.
Mhm.
Whether people want to hear it or not.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't care if people want to hear your story or not. If you have something to share, you're going to share it and you're going to do it confidently and you're going to do it in a way that when you're done telling that, you go, and that's me.
Yeah.
And isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's I mean, what you're talking to right here is why you decided to start a company to help
Mhm.
people share their voices, to amplify their voice and to get their message out into the world as your company Impactful Engagements. Like, you are helping others to see the light in their own story and to see how it's here to help raise everybody up.
Mhm.
That is, I mean, and that is truly a gift. And I believe, we're all kind of got these phoenix stories, but your particular journey that you've gone through equips you to help others also see that no matter where you have gone, the dark points and the light points, they are a beautiful reflection to help other people feel like they can rise. So that way, when they are struggling, they can go there. Or if they have a particular mission that they want to help with the world, that it matters. It matters.
It does, and I think part of it, of my journey in particular the last year and a half or 2, has been, and it goes back to the beginning of our conversation, the eldest daughter perfectionism, and part of that is there should only be one not there should be, but we have it in our brains that there's one outcome. We start this journey and the outcome that it should have, and that's what we keep our eye on.
Hmm.
So another part of why I've been sharing more and more of what I've been going through is my fertility journey, my fertility story does not end with me holding a baby.
Yep.
It
Yep.
did not end with me having the rainbow pictures, and those are all lovely, and I never wanna downplay any of that, but I will never have that experience of, "Hey, I went through all of those treatments, and it got me this baby," and that has been hard to accept, but part of why I'm trying to the dancing videos and the sharing my story and talking about it more and writing more and doing everything that I'm doing is because I never really saw anyone talk about what happens if the fertility treatments don't work. No one talked no one talks about that part of it, and there is this component of it, and so that's really what kind of fueled all of that. Like, to me, when I started the journey, I there was no other outcome
Right.
other than
A
we
baby.
will have a baby.
Yeah.
That will happen. We will have a baby. That's why I do the shots. That's why I take the pills. That's why I go to all the doctor's appointments. That is why I now know, you know, all of the nurses by first name and like all of that. And that didn't happen. And there's not a lot of people who talk about that. And so I'm at the end of that part of it. And I can say with all sincerity that me sitting here 6 years later is happier than I was 6 years ago. And she would not believe. Like, I know she wouldn't because she was so focused on that one potential outcome because she was told that was the only outcome that mattered.
Which is what that does is when we get into that space of the fertility journey and there is the expectation, it's almost puts us in a shame place
Mhm.
if it doesn't.
Absolutely.
It's and it's honestly not I'm not necessarily a realistic expectation, but I feel like what you're saying is that people don't talk about that. Like, I don't think the doctors, I mean, at least they certainly didn't talk about that with me, say this might not work. We might not be able to get there. Did a doctor ever tell you that?
Word it, especially when it first started, was, "We will try this, and if this option doesn't work, then we will graduate you to this."
Hmm.
And there's a lot of talk of, like, graduating, moving on, doing all of this, but at some point, then you have to make the decision, and n especially at the beginning, there's no, like, "This may not work." It's, "If this doesn't, don't worry, we have 15,000 other
Uh,
medication
Interesting.
combos
Yeah.
and all these other things," but it's like, "But we'll get you there. We'll get you
Mm.
there." The last doctor that I met with, though, was not oddly, but lovely enough, it was just a virtual appointment, and she said, "I'm looking at your numbers, and you have been through it. but I think your
Mhm.
body is tired. And I don't
Yeah.
want to cause any more exhaustion. And it was like when she said that, that was like, I can remember like I cried, of course, but there was also a part of me that there was like this relief of like, oh, and that's, now here we are years later and I'm like, okay, that that wasn't going to be my story. I wanted it to be, and now I still at times I'm like, I will see like my little scars and everything that will always be a physical reminder of what my body went through. And instead, anytime I go to like get down on myself about it, I will literally just put my hands on my abdomen where the scars are and just say, we tried.
Mhm.
Good
Yeah.
for you. And it's not necessarily to me, like, but to my body. She tried. I mean, damn, girl, she tried. Like, damn, girl, you tried. Like, you tried. You gave it effort. You
Yeah.
gave it effort. You did. But
Mhm.
wasn't our journey.
Yeah.
The journey was ours, but the outcome was not what was going to be. And there's another outcome, and it's just as beautiful. It's just as happy. It's just
Mhm.
not what anyone ever prepared me for.
This has been an incredible conversation so far. And if you're a woman who's looking to create her most vibrant life, tune in for just a couple moments. Have you been struggling with fatigue, cravings, or maybe you're seeing chaotic periods or just feeling disconnected from your body's wisdom? If so, it might be time to get some soul sister support. If you're ready to reclaim your feminine power and vitality, I invite you to come check out Sacred Phoenix Wellness. At Sacred Phoenix Wellness, I help soul led women like you to lose weight, repair your hormones, and get your energy back so you can meet life's challenges like the powerful phoenix you are. Using a science based, feminine led approach, I'll support you to create a hormone loving lifestyle that actually works with your body instead of against it. If you're ready to feel like yourself again and rise into a stronger, clearer, and more alive version of you, go to sacredphoenixwellness.com and apply to work with me. Your vibrant life is waiting. Now, let's get back to the show.
When you finally came to that point that you had decided you were finished, you were finished with the fertility treatments. Did you experience a great deal of grief, and how did you walk through that?
Oh, so much grief. I
Yeah.
didn't expect it.
Yeah.
I didn't expect the grief. In my mind, I had already grieved so much.
Yeah, you're like, "I have already cried all the tears. How can I possibly have any more tears left?" Yeah.
Literally, I was like, I can't be that hydrated. How are there that many tears still
Yeah.
left in me? And
Yeah.
here we are. It's amazing. The human body is amazing. It can do all kinds of things. But there was grieving, and what was shocking looking back as I tell the story to people is not that what triggered the grieving was not me saying no more appointments
Mhm.
after meeting with that doctor and
Yeah.
realizing, okay, we don't have a doctor to go to. She was very lovely about it, but no. It was the day that I went to the fridge, and this was like 2 months later.
Mhm.
I went to the fridge and I pulled out the medicine. I didn't have the strength to throw it away. I gave it to my mom and I said, I need you to do it. I can't, I can pull it out, I can hold it, but that final step of letting it go was, and that's when it was like, because I was really saying goodbye to that final bit of like, okay. And it was doing that, and it lined up with that's when I got the diagnosis of lipedema and lymphedema, and then I'm on learning how to heal my body with that, and then all these different things lined up, but the grieving of this thing I've been fighting so hard for, and something that I hope how I word this comes out right, but there was a part of me that always thought this was like an automatic privilege I had to be able to get pregnant and have babies. Like, this is just what I'm made to do. No one in my family's ever had fertility issues. That was said to me quite a few times of like, well, no one in the family's ever had issues getting pregnant. It can't be on your end that the issue is. Or my doctor asked, every doctor asked, well, how many miscarriages did your mom have? How many,
Mhm.
how hard was it for her? And then my sister got pregnant with my nephew, had hers, got pregnant with my niece, and it was like, and of course, talking to my doctor, saying something like, oh, well, my sister is pregnant again. And I can remember a doctor going, that's interesting. And then asking if we had the same parents. And I said, yes. And they were like, but you can't.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, that grief just kind of, again, I was like, so when I handed off the medicine, I was like, why am I grieving? I hated that medicine. It made me sick.
Yeah.
It hurt.
Yeah.
Then there was this empty space in the fridge. And I had a front bedroom that was always going to be the nursery that isn't going to
Yep.
be that now.
Yep.
And now it's okay, what can I fill myself up with joy? And how can I be maternal? And to me, what does maternal mean? And I can still do that. I, you know, back to what I said, it's just love. Be a maternal figure. And to me, I want to be very clear when I say maternal, people have very different reactions to that word. And I understand that people have very different relationships with the maternal figures in their lives. And your maternal figure can be of any gender. And I
Mhm.
understand that. So for me, a maternal figure, when I say I want to be maternal, it's that loving feminine energy that creates a safety. And I always thought I would do that for other people, but I would also do that with my own child or children, and I won't be doing that. So it's grieving that and grieving the life I thought I would have,
Mhm.
and still celebrating and allowing myself to truly live in the joy of the new life that I'm creating.
Yeah, of the life now. I don't think we talk about that part of grief enough in any loss journey. I had grieved the family that I didn't get to have when Rob went to jail. It just, you know, all of the future family that I had planned, my future children, my future life, everything was gone.
Mhm.
And that grief was profound and felt for a very long time. And it's grief is funny. It's a spiral. It kind of comes up in these little pieces, like opening, like you said, like opening the fridge and seeing the empty space, or seeing a space that wasn't, had intentions for something, and it's going to have to turn into something
Mhm.
else. And when you realize that grief, it does transform you. It does change you completely. Completely. And the more that I believe, and I've seen in my own life, the more that I allow that alchemy to happen is the more that I can come back into present and say, well, look at these beautiful things that I can create from here. Even though, I didn't have that life or create all of that life that I thought, I still get to create this life. And what can I create from here? And, I see that in you as like, okay, even you are still a creator. Like, you are still a creatrix. You're still an embodiment of that. And even if you're not creating a baby with your body, you're still creating love and joy and
Mhm.
friendship and connection and even through your comedy videos or anything that you're sharing, you get to create these beautiful moments for people through that sense. In that way, you are still bringing this maternal energy, the divine feminine energy, or whatever you want to call it. I think
Mhm.
it goes by many names, but you're returning that to the earth, and that is something that we need here very much right now.
Yeah, I think for me, there's also just with everything going on in the world, somebody was like, "What we need now is just a big mama hug." And I'm like, "Damn straight.
Yeah, yeah.
That is what it needs. We need that mama who's gonna be like, "You need to slow the hell down, but also I'm gonna give you a hug, but you need" like, that mama who's gonna keep you in check, but also give you a big hug, and I think there's just power in that. There's just
Hmm.
power, and when you have the ability and I think everyone has those moments in your life, and if you're lucky, you acknowledge it when it's happening because you see it and you feel it, and to be able to go, "This is the moment where I can be part of a change." And it sounds cliche, but it's gotta start inside,
Hmm. Yeah.
because if you aren't growing inside, you telling other people on the outside to grow, they're gonna be like, "But you the size of a thimble,"
Hmm. Right.
But
Hmm.
I think people are drawn to that energy
Hmm.
and because they know that it's needed.
Hmm. It
And
is.
right now, there's a whole thing of like, it's been such a patriarchal society and masculine energy has been the dominant and everywhere and everything like that. But I think I'm grateful that I'm around for seeing this big change.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm grateful that I get to be part, no matter how big or small, of instilling it into the next generation. And that's, seeing it in my niece, seeing it in my friends' kids, and anyone else. It's an honor to be able to say, "I'm witnessing this," but also I'm grateful that I am able to know that I am witnessing it instead of looking back and being like, "Oh, that was a really cool time." Like, no, I'm in it.
In it.
And I get to be part of it, and I get to feel the excitement, and it's my excitement that's gonna help it grow internally and externally and maybe even motivate and get other people to do it. Yes, my videos can be very funny. I went on a 5-minute rant about how I wanted to look like someone who could kick ass and ride a dragon, but you know what? I stand by it,
Yeah.
and a lot of people were like, "No one's ever put into words how I want to feel, but that's it. That's how I want to feel." And I'm like, "Then do it.
Okay. Do it. Go
Do
make
it.
it. Make
Go.
it happen.
Then let's do it.
Yeah.
Go."
I had this kind of conversation with my spirit guides one time when I was taking a walk around my 3-mile walk around my county roads here. And I asked why I was back in Indiana because I was really struggling with that. I'd left Indiana and I literally had zero intentions on coming back. But I asked and I was genuinely curious. And what came through was very cool. And it was this idea that I was here to plant seeds and that there were other people who were here to plant the seeds of light and love and sparkles, right? And all of the
Uh-huh.
things. And that we all chose to go in certain places, maybe where it was needed, where
Mhm.
where there was a lot of sleeping, where there was a lot of disconnection. And the Midwest is challenging in many, many ways, and so this word came to me of being a Johnny Appleseed, like planting these seeds, passing out these seeds. And I kind of changed how instead of Johnny with a Y, I was like Johnny with an IE. I was like, oh yeah, Johnny Appleseed. But yeah, it was really, really cool. And it's like, what an amazing thing for my soul to be able to come here and plant these seeds of light and do this healing work and just spread the joy around.
Huh?
So whatever impact or ripple effects that is, like it's planting the seeds for the next generation or for the next wave that is going to be changing of humanity. I mean, I 100 million% believe that you're also a part of
Think it's one of those things where first I'm gonna totally steal the Johnny Appleseed with an
Please do.
IE.
Yeah,
I
please
I
do.
don't know how we make that a movement, but we're making it a movement.
I
Merch,
mean,
I don't know if we
let's
need
do it.
merch, I don't know if we need I don't know what,
My
but I
gosh.
am obsessed with that now. I love it. But there's also, like, for me, I look at, like, yeah, we're doing that now, but there's gonna be generations who benefit from that who we won't see. Like, we won't see that, but we will have been part of it, and what an honor.
What an honor. What an honor. Wow.
Like,
I
thank
wake
you,
up in the
universe.
morning and I cannot get over it. I cannot. I do. I wake up and I'm like, wow, this is so, I mean, this is so fucking cool. Like, I
Yeah,
get to be a part of this time. Yes, it is hard. And you know what? There are a lot of people looking at a lot of things and saying a lot. Okay. But I choose to wake up every morning and be like, how can I spread some light today? How can I help someone today? How can
mhm.
I make the world just a little bit brighter with my freaking blue hair and my pink jacket and, or whatever? How can I just make that?
Yeah, it's one of those things, and, I would be amiss if I didn't say in all transparency, I still battle depression and
Mm-hmm.
anxiety. There are
Mm-hmm.
still times where I went through a dark phase about a year about a year ago, and one of my best friends, shout out and love to Quinn, would be just send a message, just literally Quinn would just send a message and just say, "Love," or checking in, "How are you today?" Then vice versa, when any of my friends are going through hard times, I will send a message to my friends that are just like, "Hydrate," because I know they aren't.
Mm-hmm.
"Did you eat something?" Or, "You're in my heart right now. You're in my heart." And it's so, yes, I still have those, but then it's like, if I take a beat and I'm like, "Okay, what have I witnessed in my life?" And there's good and there's bad. Lord knows there's good and there's bad. But also, how amazing is it that life can be those good and those bad, and then you can use that to build the connection with people, and you can use that. You may think you have nothing in common with someone, but you know
Mm-hmm.
what you do have in common with someone is you both woke up today. You both got to choose the mood that you were in, and there's outside source, influences on that, but you both woke up today and you both have had good days and you both have had bad days. So now that you have those three things in common, what else can you go from? And I think people need a reminder of that from time to time. And that's my little mama moment of like,
Love that.
you can still find commonality.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we all want to have good days. We
Right.
all want joy.
Yeah.
So let's focus a little bit more on that.
Instead of all
And
the bad, let's
instead of
shift.
focusing all of that, and don't get me wrong, I will throw punches and ride a dragon for people. Don't get me wrong, people know it in my circle and abroad that I am like that, but I'm also gonna be like, "Okay, but let's take
Mhm.
a moment to celebrate the
Yep.
good."
Yep. If there's a listener right now who is struggling with her health or her fertility,
Mhm.
and she's been on this journey for however long she's been, and she's sitting here, just that one woman, what would you want to share with her right now?
Just look at her and just say, "You're good. You are good. You have good, you make good." I'm not gonna tell you that it's all worth it in the end. I'm not gonna tell you that every shot is worth it and all of that because they hurt. Like, damn, girl, they hurt, don't they? But I would just hold her hand and say, "You're good." Whether this story ends for you with how you want it to right now or it doesn't, it's going to be a good ending. I just can't tell you what that ending is going to look like. But I can tell you it will be a good ending. And once you accept that, it's a lot, there's peace to it. It doesn't make it easier. I never tell anyone when they tell me they're going through fertility treatments. I've had people reach out and they're like, oh, I was talking to so and so, and they said you went through this and that you would have words of encouragement. And yes, I can and all of that, but I never use like it gets easier.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
It doesn't. Every appointment, every shot, every moment, it's
You know,
sucks. It's hard.
the shock of it goes away. The shock of
Mm-hmm.
it does go away. The sting of it does go away. But there are, it doesn't get easier, but you're going to get a good ending. I just can't tell you what that's going to look like. And I can't tell you when it will be. And then just hold space for her. Just hold her hand. Tears are going to happen. And I can remember being like, why am I crying over this? Like, this is like, crying isn't going to get me anywhere. Like, I would get so mad. Be like, crying isn't going to make me get pregnant. Crying isn't going to make this appointment go better. Crying, shocker, didn't make the shot not hurt. But it just happened. And that's, you know what? That's good. That means you're feeling it.
Yep.
That means that you're
Hold it
present.
in. Yeah.
Don't hold it in.
Hold it in.
Don't hold it in. Let yourself feel whatever it is that you're feeling in the moment. But there will be good, and you are good, and your body isn't wrong. Your body isn't bad. That was one of my biggest self-conversations, was that. And I know that, and I don't think a lot of people talk about how mad you get at your body.
Yeah. You're not broken. You're not, I think that was like a broken, literally a broken record inside of my head is like, my body's broken. I'm broken. I'm broken. I'm
Yep,
broken.
I'm broken. One of the things that I personally changed near the end of the journey when we were still doing everything was I didn't allow myself or my husband to say that we failed the pregnancy test.
Mm.
This is not a pass fail. It's not. It's a yes or a not this round.
Yep. Not today.
And you're still going to cry. You're still going to like all of that. I'm not downplaying that, but I was amazed at how often the term success and fail were used at fertility appointments. And I was like, I was way too much of a stubborn student to be using that kind of phrases too.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
And so I'm like, boy, I would love to. I'm like, can I just have like a little meeting with all you doctors and be like, if you say the word fail to any of these couples, like, what are you doing?
Can we change the language around this a little bit?
Yeah, but I'm like,
even with miscarriages, like I wish we could
Mhm.
change that word because it places all of the like, oh, I failed carrying. Like it's not right. And it's not, I think that's perhaps a different conversation, but a good one is the conversation about miscarriage and pregnancy loss and the language we use around that and how that impacts
Mhm.
us. But wherever are on that journey is like realizing that the words that we use does impact us. It impacts how we trust ourselves. It impacts our confidence. It impacts our self-esteem. And so being very cognizant and choosing the words that feel like love, being very intentional with that will go a long way to feeling alive through the journey and not so much like piece of crap. I have a present for you if you want it.
Okay.
Okay. I one of the things I do here when I have interviews is I like to pull a oracle card for my guest.
I
Would you like
started
that?
to learn more about that. Absolutely. I've been getting more and more
Yay!
into that. So yes.
Sister, okay. Well, I am a huge fan of Rebecca Campbell's decks. This is called Work Your Light. It's a beautiful deck that helps you to show up as your authentic self in the world. And so I'll just say thank you to Spirit and thank you to you for being here today and sharing your beautiful message. And this is the card that is a good card. It's a powerful card. This is called the Initiation. So I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of like all kind of dark, and there's like a portal here, and on the other side is like this like beautiful beach and like this tranquil space on the other side of it, and it says rite of passage and crossing the threshold. What this card is referring to is the point in the journey where you can't see what the outcome is and where you're at right now, but there's a point where you cross into another threshold, you cross into another space, and things become much more clear. And it's even when things are kind of dark right now, like whether it's in, a certain situation or in the world, that there is a initiation that is happening. It's a rite of passage. It's a point that helps you to alchemize what has been, so that way
Mhm.
you can step into the next space of where you're becoming, like it's a becoming. And often in that becoming there's a shedding part of it that happens. And I feel like based on our conversation today, you're very much in this space of like, I don't know what the next part is going to
Mhm.
be, but this journey has been worth it. And so this is a big reminder for you that everything that you've experienced up to this point has been preparing you for this next part. And it's coming, and it's challenging, and also it's worth it.
And it's
Yeah.
exciting. It also, like, the
Yeah.
card when you showed me on the screen what it looked like, it just kinda brought me back to what I was saying about, like, how I felt in 2020 with, like, everything was dark and coming in, but I kept my eye on that light.
Mhm.
I didn't know what the light had. I didn't know
Mhm.
where the light was, but I
Mhm.
knew that it was there.
Mhm.
And that's
Yeah.
and I feel like now I'm stepping into where that is. I still don't fully know where we're going, but I have let go and shed so much that I was using to protect myself and guide, or not guide myself, but rather protect myself and keep myself from experiencing things. And now I'm like, no, I want to experience it all. I
The
want to see it
cracking open.
all.
That's
I want
Rebecca
to.
Campbell talks about that a lot, is the cracking open. It's like the shell that kept us, right? The shell that kept us safe also keeps us from shining. It also keeps us from the experience. And so I feel like in these journeys that we go through, these phoenix stories, these, burning down to ash and letting go of all the things and then rising back through it, those initiation processes often it requires sacrifice. It requires a cracking open of our hearts. And, it's a very vulnerable place, but, a butterfly can never fly unless it breaks out of the chrysalis. You know, unless it turns to liquid first. A caterpillar has to turn to
Yeah,
liquid first inside the chrysalis and then bust out of it before it can fly. Like
many phases.
many phases, but it is. And I think that so many of us are going through these challenges right now. And there's light. We're all at different points. We're all at different points in these journeys. But the more that we share, our stories, share our light, and continue to allow the universe to crack us open, is the more that the light gets to come in and that the light gets to shine out from our hearts. This has been a beautiful conversation, Lindsey. Love it.
Then
Love it. How can my listeners connect with you? What's the best way to find you on the interwebs?
the interwebs, primarily social media with it's its dot lala living. Lala is my auntie name. It's just kind of, and just living my life. And Impactful Engagements is my company, and it's getting up and running. So
Wonderful. Yeah. It's great to get connected, and again, we're just here to help each other grow, help each other shine. And if you are ever interested in getting a good laugh, please follow Lindsey. Especially, like, I love your TikToks. They make me smile so much. I would love to ask you just one last little thing. Leave us one last little nugget of truth here. What do you feel is the one piece that allows you to live your most vibrant life now?
It is, I ask myself before doing things, is this joy? Is this is this joy? It can be as simple as I love to make sourdough and that brings me so much joy. Is it time with my niece? Is it I have a corporate job and during the day I will do something that will still bring me joy. Is it having an impromptu meeting with someone? Is it sending someone a message? Is it telling a funny story to my trainees or something? Everything that I do should come from a point of love and joy and just focus on that.
Joy is the way. Joy is, I feel like it's the color that we put in to make our vibrant life. And no matter what we're doing, we can always bring a sense of joy, and that brings forth our beingness. And that is a
Mhm.
beautiful, beautiful place. Well, thank you so much, Lindsay, for this conversation. It has been truly impactful. Your light is so amazing, and I'm just really glad you were here.
Thank you for inviting me. This was very special. I appreciate it.
Yes, I am celebrating you because you just finished another episode of the Phoenix Perspective Podcast. I am so grateful we got to spend time together today. It's really been a blast. If this episode lit up your heart or sparked something in your soul, please follow the show and share it with a friend who's ready to rise too. Until next moon phase, remember, you are so worthy of living your most vibrant life. See you next time.